A special thank you to Glenn Kramer, Mark Ware, Byron Colley, Steve Dix, Bill Schreiber, Christopher Hunt, Felix Rodriguez, James Rogers, Norman Fair, Daniel Mayer, Kyle Sarpolis, Leland Lampkins, Lonnie Meisner, Michael Douglas, Paul Wood, Michael Scott, Samuel Draney, and Tom Champion.
Well, here we are back at another week at SNG Studio, and this is our SNG Studio update. From here on out, for the next 4 weeks, maybe 5, I'm going to be working on models. Models that are customer builds or commission builds that, yes, we are doing again, because some of you want a model from me, and that's really nice, and I greatly appreciate it. So we've had 3 commissions, which I haven't had a commission in quite a while. And thank you, Brian Dunn and Glenn Kramer, for that. And it's on the website. We have a page you can go to, and there's a link right there, where we will take on commissions. And what you need to do is contact us by email and tell us what you want to have built, and we'll tell you how much and how long. It's that simple. So check that out. So let me show you what I'm working on. You'll recall that primer I used, which was a white primer from Duplicolor, god darn it, from Rust-Oleum. I use so many different paints, but you know what? That's all going to stop, because I'm just going to use expensive, overpriced Tamiya, because you get what you pay for. I had so many pieces of junk that was in the can itself, the white primer. I couldn't believe it. So I let it sit for a week, and then I lightly sanded it down with some 400, and now you can see it's gorgeously smooth. It even has a shine to it. And why is that? Because I used this, the Breakfast of Champions. This stuff is great. So I've been using it a lot. $12 a can, worth every dime. Now you can get this stuff, which is like $7, even $5 a can. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it splatters. This happens to be a good can, and it's all acrylic enamel anyway, so they don't they mingle well. And you can see I've been doing some light blocking on this, because what I do is I light block from the outside with this model, because I can't light block from the inside, because otherwise I can't light up the windows, because the windows have to be etched out with a scribe. And I use a scribe tool like this, and I scratch off the paint and at the windows and backlight it with strip lighting. Now, so you have to be very careful to make sure that everything's blocked very well. And what really blocks more than anything I've ever noticed is primer. It doesn't matter if it's white primer, black primer, gray primer. Primer is very opaque. So this stuff in particular is very opaque, as dangerous as it can sometimes be to use. It's very, 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 very opaque. So once you put another layer of white primer, to me a white primer, which is not as opaque, over it, and you put it up against the light, it won't light up anymore. A good example is this over here. You can see where I scratched out some window tests and then since painted over them, but even with that, look, they still light up really well. And you can see there's no light leaking through this at all. It's great. So, so that's how I'm going to do that. Now here are the other parts. And these also will be light block, because we're going to have a glow inside of there. Clear parts here. And then there's this base. Can you see that? I mean, the thing is it's curved. So what I'm going to do, hopefully this will work. Somewhere around here is a big old weight. Why don't I see that big old weight? There it is. I'm going to do this and leave it that way, and hopefully it'll go flat again. If not, I'll put it in some hot water and do that. But that's a good base. Normally I wouldn't use that base because it's too small for the bigger 350 models. But for this guy, it's gonna be great. So that's what I've got done so far today. And yeah, it took all day just to sand all this down and get this just right. Also, much of the day was spent with this model here, which is done. This is how it's going to be shipped, like this. And this is going to be packed in something with bubble wrap, and this is going to be on top of it, more bubble wrap. And so what you do is when you get them all, you put this in here, you put this up inside, you pull the cable through, plug the cable into that, and you got a lighted model. You connect this, it's a nice connector. This all pulls through here, pulls through there, pulls through for there, and the model is lit. And you can see the bays are lit up nicely, and they're really bright. So that works out very well. And of course we got all that lit up. Every single part's on there now. What I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm off to the hobby store. I'm gonna get some Tamiya flat white and bottles, and I'm going to touch up all the darker areas where I missed when I pre-painted the hull. So I'm gonna go around, touch up everything, add more paint, and then put the decals on, and guess what? This model is done. Here we are on Tuesday, and I'm still light blocking. It takes, it looks glossy, but it's not. It's flat black. We got more over here. It's gonna take about 3 layers. On these, I can do inside and outside because we only want the open areas to glow. This is ready for hull color, and I have the hull color right here. And since and if you're listing Rust-Oleum, thank you so much for ruining our hobby by buying up testers and model masters and destroying them. Luckily, Tamiya is still in business. Normally, to get the hull color correct for a Federation Starship, you would want to use 1 bottle of light ghost gray. In this case, we're using Royal Light Gray, to 2 bottles of white. Vern over at Ventura Hobbies, matched this as close as he could to what I used to use, and that's exactly what I used on the Enterprise and all the other models. And that was based on a paint chip. So, a paint chip from the actual ship. So that was the closest color. So that's going to be mixed, and we'll paint the hull color with that. Meanwhile, he was out of Tamiya, so I'm going to be using Model Masters. Interesting. Model, isn't that? So Model Masters is not, as near as I can tell, that's not testers. Or is this an old bottle that he still had? Yes, this is what we used to be able to get. And he still has some bottles in his shop. So when that's gone, it's gone. Over here you see all the various electronic components for the Enterprise E. You can see that Randy Newbert from Voodoo Effects sent me. This is his kit for this model, which is also going to be built, the K7 space station. This is going to be for the nacelles, and we're going to put this very thin, I didn't even know they made this stuff. This is strip lighting, nice soft blue for that. So lots of resistors, lots of LEDs, and he pre-wired the board for me. I'm glad, because I always do such a rotten job. So, but it works. So that's what we're doing so far. And Mary over here is working on an alcohol ink painting. Which really is a fascinating process. So we are real busy here. Meanwhile, we will be doing more work with this. I'm going to do an engraving test today. I want to engrave an emblem. And this has just been a great machine. We're really happy to have it. And so the master is
that like actor?
has gotten much further with this jellyfish, and this is all alcohol ink, and it's just gorgeous. Love it. And over here, the model dude has touched all this up with the last bottle on the planet Earth of Testors Bottle Masters Flat Black. And the other thing I found that I had in all this mess was this wonderfulness here. Yeah, it's good for the environment too, huh? So universal enamel thinner, and it's a full bottle, and it was not dried up. So that was great. And I rescued this airbrush. I say rescued because it was just sort of sitting in a pile with a bunch of other airbrushes. And this thing is wonderful. So I got that working again. I'm really happy. So now the next step is to put the decals on this, and we'll call it a day. Okay, let's talk about decals. Yes, these decals suck. They break up, as you can see here. A little bit of microsol on them, and they just, disintegrated, which means that they're old, or the way they were done. You can see this one's having a problem too, but eventually it will go down. I put some of this on it that'll really, if I don't touch it, they won't break up, and it'll go flat, look good, I hope. So unfortunately, something that should have been very easy to do and been done in no time with a bit of microsol, I'm going to have to hand paint probably all of this stuff. So what that means is I can't possibly hand paint little stripes this thin and have it look like anything. They'll look hand painted, which I think would be bad. I never even recall seeing these stripes on the model, except these here and those there. Of course, Galactica is going to go on there. Hopefully that's a smooth area to put it on. It is. And you got little ones down here. That may be able to put those on because it's a flat area. And there's like more in here. I never saw those ever watching the show. So it's unlikely that they'll go on, but they may. We shall see. But certainly the ones that count the most are the ones that are here, here, and here, and of course that one. It shows a whole bunch of them down the side here. Oh, no, it doesn't. No, that's just the way that looks. So you just don't see them, not unless you look at the studio model. So very disappointing. Their decals, it's created a lot of work for me. You can see the level of disintegration in the water. It's quite amazing. I'm trying to do these. I hand painted the front ones. These will be okay because they're on a flat surface. I've been putting microsol on them, trying to get them soft so that they will stay down around the corners. So far, not so good. But they're very uncooperative. I suspect these decals are old. I think maybe the kit, I don't know how new the kit is, how long it's been sitting around, but decals, when they get old, they're not so great anymore. So we just keep working with them and trying to get them soft so that they'll go down. I'm doing the same with these. And in time, theoretically, the microsol will get them soft enough that they'll go down without cracking, breaking, and disintegrating. This was working, and then it just started to crack them. And I did a test first, and it didn't do that, but some of them, it does it more than others, so I am just being ultra careful, hoping to save myself having to do the little kid hand painting on this model. Okay, if you stand back in Cleveland, these look pretty good. They're hand painted. The bottom ones I was able to get on, these are hand painted. It's really amazing to me that they wanted you to get those decals to bend around that and all that detail. Over here, you can see things are starting to settle in. I got lucky with these. They seem to be okay. Yeah, putting these things on when they're old like this aren't for the faint-hearted, but you see we got the bottom ones on as well, and I have some cleanup to do with white paint, but that seems to be working. And like I said, if you stand back and cleave on it, looks pretty good. Those two went on pretty well. Do you remember seeing those in the show? I don't. And this is starting to conform slowly to all the details there, but it's still not going down quite like I like, but you have to give it more time because it takes a while for the microsaw or saw to set, which I'm getting ready to put on it, to take it down. Once they're laying down, I can put the saw to set on there and it'll just make it look like it's painted on pretty much. These did okay. So far, so good. You can see they're sticking out a bit on the side here. They're not, but as these dry, I'll be able to work these, see? Now it's starting to go down. You just have to take your time with it. And yes, this is starting to respond, so we're getting there, folks. Okay, bit by bit, we got Galactica on. These are settling in really nicely now and going down into all the little nooks and crannies. These look okay. I'm gonna clean them up a little bit more. These worked out well. I see I need to do some touch-up of paint over here. I didn't see that before. Gotta get that. But you know, it's starting to look pretty good. There's these guys under here. So, but the big one now is to get all these side ones on, and they show. I don't know how I'm going to get those down in these crevasses. You know, I just don't think it's going to happen. So, but whatever. We've got 3 here. These are 3s. I don't know where the 3s go. 3s. They go down here on this edge under here. Oh, they go in these little slots. I mean, do they really think that's what we can do? I'll try. I'm not going to make any promises. And then there's some that go up in here. These are the 14s, which are over here. And these are all, thankfully, they're separate, so you can put them in separately. I don't think these are, no, the 3s, they should be separate, and they're not. They're one strip, but we'll see what we can do. Same thing goes for the 11s and the 12s. Those are what are left to go on, and so after lunch, I'll give that a shot. I still never knew they were there. What amazes me is the amount of chips I'm seeing, yet the decals are not chipping that I'm using now, so I don't know where it's coming from, but I did get all those on. Yeah, they really have to be kidding. Those were not easy. And then, let's see, did I get them on this side too? None of them are falling off. Yep, I did. So, now, now they want me to get into these little slots, this one. And I have to make sure I orient the right way because you got longer slots and shorter slots and yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to do that next. Miraculously, I got those in there and they broke up on top of it into little pieces, and I managed to very carefully with a pin get them back in there. I'm going to put some solvent on there and after a while and let those dry. Okay, this is something that I have to remember to ask the next time a model gets sent to me to build, and that is, how old is the model? Because you see how they're breaking up? Yeah, and I got to get them up there. And that's what happened to the other one, except these broke up even worse. Got it. Boy, okay, what do we got left? We have these. One long strip, you know it's going to break. As you can see, I got those on. This one didn't break up. And the other one did, and I'm missing pieces of it, and it still looks like it's okay. And so, you know, it looks, yeah, it looks fine over here. As you can see, you got those there. And we got all those on. There's got those on. Saw the set is on. I put some more on this, which really came out nice. By tomorrow, these will all be sucked in and look like they're painted on. That's the idea. So I'm going to call it a day. I am. It was nerve-wracking. Only because the decals were poor quality or they're very old. And I think probably knowing Mobius kits as I do, they were probably just old. So she looks really nice. Even these hand-painted ones, which I really don't like, now that I've been away from them and not paying attention to them, they look okay. They look fine. Look, and for look-sees, I figured, well, we'll light her up and see how she looks. Oh, I thought I saw a light leak there. That wasn't that at all. It was the bays. Everybody's nice and lit up the way it should be. It looks good. You know, it's got to go back on the stand tomorrow. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fixative over all these decals, a matte finish, clear on it, and that should do it. Well, I have two tripods for the iPhone, and of course, both of them got left at home. So now you're seeing this in hard to see vision. Because I don't know, I guess I'll be doing this for days, so maybe it doesn't matter. But what I have to do, and I don't know if you can see it or not, I have no idea. I have to scratch out all the paint from these little windows. Not all of them, because not all of them should be lit up. And the paint's very thick. It had to be, because I could not light block it from the inside. Light blocking it from the inside would mean that I could not light up the windows, because the way I'm lighting these windows up, as I've talked about before, but not everybody always remembers, or maybe you're tuning in for the first time, I am using the transparency, or at least the translucency of the white, milky white plastic that this model's cast from, to get the lighting from behind, because there's no way, I don't care who you are, you're not going to, unless you want to stay out of the insane asylum, you are not going to file out all these windows and then fill them with dental acrylic or white glue or whatever it is. I mean, this thing has so many windows. You can see there's even windows right here, which I think I can get to work, because I bought these really cool scribe tools, which really do seem to work. You don't want much of a window there, just enough. And then I used the wooden toothpick to get rid of the crumbs. It seems to be very successful. So I'm going to be doing this for a very long time. So we're going to do another one here. I don't want to bore you with this, because it is boring. Really cool when you finally finish the job and you can light it all up. And it sure beats doing this the hard way, drilling out holes and filing windows. And I want to thank Lou Dalmaso, one of the preeminent, I guess that's the right word, modelers that I have known for years, and have watched him go from some really good models to models that are better than mine and just absolutely blow my mind. He does such good work. And he's prolific, the way I used to be. But of course, I had a lot more contracts. But he does all this not for hire. He does not build for hire. He builds for himself. And he provides you with some really cool videos of how he did it. And it was his idea to do this. Now, I'm sure that other people have done this on this model too. I just wasn't thinking clearly. I said I had to drill these out with a fine drill. And you have to be very careful, otherwise you can fix a window if you screw it up. And now I'm going to show you how they look lit. So let's see. There's the ones I just did. And you can see if this thing will focus, 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 please focus. Anyway, it's probably a little blurry, but you can see it looks there. Really nice. And even that one I did, let's see if I can get this just right. That one I did up on the edge there, you can see that one too. Just showing. So, where is it? Focus, you miserable thing. There it is. There it is. So, that's what I'm doing here for a long while. And this is the scribing tool. Okay. And these are the different bits that came with the tool. The little, this Allen wrench which comes with it so that you can put the different bits in. And I got this off of Amazon. It was really, really cool. Okay, I've lost track of how many hours I've been at this for, but almost 2 hours. And that's what I've got done so far. And I got these little guys up in here going. You can see some light leaks here. This is not going to be a problem because right on these spots, I'm going to put aluminum tape, a lot of aluminum tape on the back, which will help reflect light inside, but it'll also block light where I don't want it coming in. So theoretically, let's find out. Second thought, let's not find out because I have to open up. Of course, in regular lighting, like room lighting, you won't see it at all. Only if it's pitch black at night would you notice that. There's little windows here I started putting in. I put in some more LEDs facing up, the strip lights, and a ring around this side. And so I'm working my way from here all the way around. Then I'm going to go up here and up here and up here. And this is the hardest part because, well, with there's the window underneath, very much like Voyager. I want to personally thank John Eaves for making my job so hard. Jeez, he put enough windows in this freaking thing. To me, it's just a disaster in a battle. Anyway, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see how many are in this too. I mean, it's crazy. It's going to take me a while to get all these in. And that's why I'm doing them first. But why wouldn't I do them first? Because I got to get all the lighting in this thing and make sure it's all working. So back to it. I'll show you this too, because here I am and the lights are on overhead and they're pretty bright. And you can still see the lighting really well. So if you have a model like this in your office and you have your lights on, or at night when it's just subtly lit, you're going to be able to see these, that they're not just dummies, that they're actually lit up. So what I did is I added 2 more strips here, and then there's one that's circular. It goes all the way around. That's been there, but these were not getting much light. This is with these on, and man, they definitely show now. Let's see what it looks like with evening light, space light, which, well, you can see from there. Yeah, this is starting to dance for me. I'm happy. Cool. And with the lights turned off, it looks like windows that are not lit. They're not perfect. It's impossible to get them perfect. And everybody I've seen who's done it, had a problem with it. And because you're scribing paint, and some of them are pretty perfect, like that one, and some of the others are not bad. But the minute you turn them on, they look fine. I am going to go around and clean them up a little bit with little touch-ups of paint and stuff to try to make them a little better. But first, let's get them all scribed. Beautiful. So that's a lot of lights. That's a lot of windows. You know, I didn't get to here, but tomorrow, which will be Friday, I'm hoping to get all the way around here. But it looks great, you know. I mean, hey, if you don't look at it too close, it looks fantastic. It's hard to get them perfect. It really is. And but I found that I can go back over with some of the hull color, and it gets rid of the black light blocking that shows when you peel this stuff up with the scribe. And I also can fix some that are not like that one's like perfectly shaped. But I can fix some of them just by taking the paint here and a brush and just squaring them off. But I mean, ultimately, you know, it really looks nice. Okay, so we are hard at doing windows, and look what came today. That's it. These are the official aftermarket decals from A Creations, which you can see has the Aztec, oh, I'm blocking it, Aztecs, and the different hull shading, which is really nice. And these are much better than the decals that come with it. So that's really cool. I mean, for 20 bucks, I think it's worth it. These are on laser clear water slide decals. I would imagine that they are already treated. We'll find out. And these are the Aztecs from Nemesis. Not because they made a full-size model, yeah. They made a scale model, a big one of it for that, and they did have the Aztecs on it and stuff that I don't think were on the first version. I don't know. Anyway, so glad to have those. That's really going to help a great deal. I'm going to turn the lights off over here just to get a better look at what I've been at. And, you know, after, you know, getting all these windows in, I've learned that what works best is is this pin. After buying this nice scribing set for this project, because I had other scribers, but they were too big to get something down that small, I found out that these work the best. And you can see I did all these with a pin, and I did these with a scribe, and they're too big in a sense. I mean, not entirely, but what I'm going to do is go back over the ones I already did with a little bit of paint on the edges and clean them up, but it should be fine. But you can see how far I've got so far. I still have all this way to go around here. Luckily, the bottom is has far less windows on it. It just has these windows here. They're inset, very much like, very typical John Eaves design, because I believe he designed Voyager 2? No, he didn't. That was Rick Sternbach and a little bit of Doug Drexler. But John obviously carried that over to those windows there, which are very much like on the Voyager. In fact, the shape of the saucer's like that too, which, for your information, is based on My Favorite Martian, which is where Doug's influence came from, because you know, he's such a big fan of My Favorite Martian, and that ship, if you look at the shape of that hull and compare it to Voyager and this one, there you go. Okay, this is how far I got. You can see I got pretty darn far. I still have this side to do here. Today has been broken up with trips to the DMV. Charlotte, the Fiat is all registered and new pink slip on the way and everything. Mary and I finally, honestly, truly 100% own this car, and I can't wait to drive the heck out of it. I'm getting some new tires next week, and yeah, because we're down to 2 cars. The van is, for now, no more. The motorhome we had, we're having lots of problems with it. So, yeah, you know what? I went around with some touch-up paint, and where I screwed up and scratched too far and all that kind of thing, because it's very hard to control. I went around and touched it all up. It looks great. I'm surprised. So I know now I'm going to be able to tune this up all the way. So I got this side to do still, which should happen, yeah, definitely over the weekend. And yeah, I might even get to these next. So there's quite a few here, as you can see. But not as many as on this. So, yeah. So I got homework this weekend to make up for the lost time today, going to the DMV and having to run all over town and meet people and all that kind of stuff. But despite that, I got all this done. And I'm finding that the pen works the best. And then you use the scribe tool. And then you use a sharp toothpick and yada, yada, yada. And then some touch-up paint. But I'm very pleased with it. So that's it. As I stand under that with the lights off in here. I hope you guys enjoyed the update this week. And we'll be back for more. And remember, visit Buy a Coffee. That's where our store is. If you go to our website, you're going to start seeing Buy Now. And those Buy Now buttons go directly to our store and buy me a coffee. And that doesn't mean you have to buy us a coffee. It means if you want to buy a mask or a rocket kit, that's where you buy them.